Alright, so I know I'm really late on both games, so I'm just gonna combine them both into one video. Alright, let's talk about Marcellus and Pika versus Cash Nasty and Brianna Green. Let's do it.
Hello, motherfucker.
I'm not gonna give the game like an overview like I did the last two games. There's really no point, serves no purpose, because y'all didn't see the game already. But I still want to talk about it and give my thoughts about the game, so let's do that. Okay, so this is one of the times where I can't go back to my other prediction video and be like, oh, I'm right, and da-da-da-da-da. I can't do that this time because I was wrong. But I'm happy that I was wrong, though. Couple reasons being, firstly, Marcellus was aggressive as hell, and he really, whatever bad game that he had before, shook that shit right off and got to the cup every single time. He finished with around 42 points. He had a 40 bomb, but majority of his points were inside. He took it to the cup, took advantage of the bonus situation when Bree and Cash were in foul trouble, and just attacked the basket, going right, got to his spots. The jumper didn't really fall like that, but when it fell, it was much needed, and he was getting some crucial free throws at the end, and I was really happy with Marcellus's performance. Now, another reason being, Pika stepped up when being called upon. I really want to give a shout out to Pika. She played really well, played really hard, grabbed a lot of rebounds, and played really solid defense on Bree. I thought that Bree was just gonna like bully her throughout the whole course of the game, but she made it tough on Bree. Bree did get to her spots here and there. That's just the gifts of being a really good offensive player, but she made it tough. The big body didn't bother her at all. Well, I wouldn't say at all, but it didn't really bother her for real. And then the few times where Marcellus did kick it to Pika for the open three, she knocked it down. She was ready at all times, and I appreciate that. You always want a teammate to be ready, even when you don't know when they're going to be called upon. But when they do get called upon, it's beautiful. Great basketball to see. Now, in terms of Cash Nasty and Bree, they played well. They got game one in the books. I do feel like what hindered them for real was themselves. They let frustration take over, and when you get frustrated, it's kind of a wrap at that point. And not just basketball, but in majority of sports, if you lose your cool, you lose your temper, then your mind's not in it, and at that point it's over with. Any opponent will take advantage of that easily. But their game plan, although couldn't get them the W, they did execute well at sometimes. You know, Bree getting to her spots for the easy jumper. She was the leading scorer for their team, and she's just living in that mid-range game. In terms of Cash Nasty, he got to his spots a little bit. He did travel some. He did foul a lot. But that's just Cash's game, him being that brute strength guy. But the one thing I want to touch on Cash is just, for next game, composure. You cannot let emotions get the best of you. It happens to everybody, but in terms of this, for next time, you can't let your emotions get the best of you for real. I saw, especially afterwards, he blamed the refs for a lot of it. Don't get me wrong, there were some calls that I felt like were questionable during the game, but at some point you have to take some sort of accountability, because you were up 10 in the second game, and Marcellus and Pika still have to battle back and get those buckets, and it's your responsibility to get those stops to prevent those buckets, and you weren't able to do that. And did the refs come into play here and there? Yeah, for sure, but at some point you do have to hold yourself to a high standard and be like, hey, maybe this one was on me, not all on the refs. And yeah, it's really what it is. He got teed up. I'm not gonna lie, that show's kind of funny. He got a technical foul. I didn't even know they were doing techs in this league. I didn't think that was possible, but hey, it's the creator league. I guess anything's possible. In terms of things that Marcellus and Pika should work on, as much of a great game as Marcellus had, I do feel like he needs to get Pika involved a little bit more. I did understand though, when they got into the bonus, he was in attack mode all day long, and I love that for him. But there were some instances where he would drive into the lane and the double team will come through, and Pika would just be all alone on the 3-point line and just didn't kick it to her. There was two plays where he did it. I felt like if he did that a little bit more, the game would have been a lot easier, just so in terms of spacing. So yeah, I do feel like getting Pika involved more in those driving kicks will be very crucial. She was a knockdown shooter when called upon. So So I feel like you got to trust Pika a little bit more in those situations. In terms of Cash and Bree, I feel like turnovers kind of cost them this game a little bit because I feel like there was a lot of miscues. I think Cash got to do a lot more back to the basket because from watching it a couple of times, it seemed like Bree was trying to get into the lane and then kick it to Cash with his back to the basket and just barrel down Marcellus. It didn't really go as planned with a lot of miscues and turning the ball over, like throwing it out of bounds. But I just feel like if Cash starts at the block, it's kind of like, what do you gotta do at that point, you know? But to Marcellus's credit, there were a few plays where he did try to do that and he was playing a lot of deny. I don't know if you saw that. He got his hand in there, poked it a few times. Marcellus has great hands, great active hands when it comes to defense. But I feel like their best shot at winning this game was just being the aggressor. You guys are both big bodies in terms of your matchup. Take advantage of that a lot better. Well, for Cash anyway, not so much Bree, because Bree kind of did what she could have done. For Cash, I think Cash needs to work on his footwork, man. He's a big guy, but he's very unorthodox with his movements. And sometimes I feel like as awkward as it is, it can cost him a little bit. I feel like you got to work on his footwork and understanding where he can go and where he can't go. He's a great finisher in terms of finishing with his left hand. I feel like if you got to his left a little better during that game, maybe you would have had a little bit more success. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But yeah, overall it was a fun game to watch. Great on both sides. Great effort. Now we on to the next game, which is Jenna Bandy and YPK Ray versus Stefania and Julia Newman. Let's get it. Oh gosh, this game was kind of wild from start to finish. What can I really say about this game? So it was like the last game that I just spoke about. It was pretty physical. I was excited to see YPK Ray and Julia Newman go at it. They did go at it a little bit. Unfortunately, YPK got hurt, and the time that I'm recording this, I found out that he's out for the rest of the Creator League. So I don't know if they're just getting rid of the team or they're adding somebody to it. I don't know how that's gonna go. I do kind of feel bad because they were kind of like right there with Frigga and Lolo, and I really wanted to see that matchup so freaking bad. But unfortunately, we're not going to get it. And I want to get my prayers out to YBK Ray. I'm praying that his injury isn't as bad as it seems. But hopefully all is well and you have a speedy recovery soon. But before he got hurt, there was some little things that I was seeing going on in the game. First of all, although Jenna talks a lot, she had every right to be upset during the game. Because there were a few instances, I want to say there was at least like 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, where Jenna would shoot and Stefania would like hip check her on the way down. You can get seriously hurt doing that. And you know, as someone who has had ankle injuries because someone is like in your landing space and doesn't allow you to land, that shit bothers me. And Jenna has every right to get mad. Would I have gotten mad like that? Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. Probably. Actually, I don't know. But hey, only Lord knows what I would have done in that situation. But I'm not faulting Jenna for getting mad because Stefania got to let her land. I don't think she was doing it intentionally either. But after like the second time, you have to be aware, like, you have to let the shooter land. And it was mind-boggling to me that the refs weren't even calling that either, which is kind of wild because as a jump shooter, you're in your most vulnerable state when you're in midair. So I'm not gonna lie, that did kind of bother me. But at the same time, I did see some things in terms of Jenna that I felt like she could improve on for the next game. One of them being, as I saw the game progress, I feel like Jenna takes too long to get into her stuff. Like she does like a lot of dribbles, or like she'll dribble into the lane, she'll try to drive into the lane, get stopped, and then pull it out and then dribble like 20 times before getting into her stuff. I feel like if she cleaned that up a little bit and was a little more efficient with her moves, maybe she can get to her spots a little better. Stefania isn't no pushover, but at the end of the day, I feel like Jenna is still bigger than Steph regardless. I don't feel like she took advantage of it as much as I feel like she could have. But yeah, I just feel like you're allowing the defense to get set, and you're allowing the defense to kind of predict your next move. So maybe limit the amount of dribbles that you take. One thing I want to touch on is I think it was really fucked up when YPK got hurt. Jenna had to play Julian Newman one-on-one. I didn't really feel like that was fair because Stefania wasn't hurt. She wasn't 100%, but she was active to play, and I felt like that matchup would have been a lot better. I don't think that's fair, a guy going up against a girl, regardless of if Jenna's bigger or whatnot. Julian is still a man, and in terms of athletic ability, he is light years over Jenna, and it's not fair. That's my opinion. But at the same time though, I am playing both sides. I have to cut this right down the middle. At the same time, I understand putting your best player, if we're playing ones, putting your best player on the floor for Stefania and Julian. Julian is clearly the best player. He scored damn near, no, he did score every point. Stefania didn't score. Julian scored every single point. And obviously you're going to give the ball to the hot hand and whatnot. He's your best player. He's going to play. So I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand it. I got to take my bias aside sometimes and cut it right down the middle. See it right down the middle. And, you know, Jenna tried. She tried. So yeah, I don't know if Jenna's going to be paired up with anyone else or she's just going to drop out of the tournament. If that's the case, then that's really unfortunate. But we'll see how this goes. I feel like Stefania and Julia really executed their game plan to the best of their abilities. Continuing to use the screens, using Julian's speed to his advantage. It's crazy because it's two speed demons in Ray and Julian. Unfortunately, Ray got hurt, but he was playing some really decent defense, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's all I can say about that game. Okay, so now we got that out the way. Now I want to talk about the next matchup, which is Marcellus and Pika versus Frigga and Lolo. So let's get it popping. So first things first, my predictions. I hate that I have to bet against them again, but I'm gonna go with Frigga and Lolo this time. Reason being, although they are, well, not they, Frigga is the bigger body than Marcellus. It's not, I don't think it's just gonna be a TLC match like it was against Cash. So I feel like this is gonna be a lot more skilled based. Frigga is a lot more explosive than Cash was, and Frigga's like 6'4". I feel like Frigga is just gonna shoot over the top of Marcellus. However, I don't feel like Marcellus is gonna be a pushover because defensively he is really smart. He has a really good IQ. I feel like that's gonna be a really good matchup, but I think Frigga does take the edge in 3 games. Now, in terms of Lolo and Pika, I do feel like they kind of play similar to a degree. I do feel like Pika does bring a lot more defensive energy and does a lot more like grabbing rebounds and playing better defense. So I feel like those two are going to be very interesting. Both can knock down jumpers when need be on the kick out, catch and shoot. I don't think they can really create for real. I think Lolo can create better than Pika can, but I feel like my issue with Pika is that I didn't touch on in the last game. I feel like Pika needs to call her own number a little bit better, because there are some instances where she'll grab the rebound and then clear it and then immediately just pick up her dribble, like not even looking to score, like just relying on Marcellus. And Marcellus did a good job of scoring, but I do feel like she should come into her own a little bit, create a little bit more, and maybe do some kickouts for Marcellus and try to get that stuff going. Frigga and Lolo do have great chemistry together. However, I don't think it's just going to be like a wash. I do think they're going to win in 3 games. I hope it goes to 3 games, and I hope I'm wrong again. But yeah, that's my predictions. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a lot longer than the last one because I had to put 2 games together. And yeah, I'm done. I'll see you after the next one. I'm out. Peace and love.
She said, tell me how you feeling. I feel like a fake nigga who niggas perceive as the realest. I don't wanna hate niggas repressing that I hate the feeling. They get his away and sign him like, oh, you don't know who you dealing with. My jealousy ate away, ambition till it let me feel. I wanted to stay away, it can't disappear. I used to embrace the phrase, I don't see no ceilings here.